Suspected Kenyan serial killer, described as vampire, a psychopath, escapes from custody. A Kenyan man who police claim that confessed to murdering and dismembering 42 women has escaped from a Nairobi police cell along with a dozen other detainees, police said Tuesday. Collins Jumaisi, 33, described by police as a vampire, a psychopath, was arrested last month after the horrific discovery of mutilated bodies in a garbage dump in a slum in the Kenyan capital. They escaped last night, 13 in total, including the key suspect in the dump murder case, Kenya police spokesperson Resila Onyango told AFP. She said the other 12 detainees who had also escaped from the police station were all Eritreans. Jumaisi had appeared in a court in Nairobi on Friday, where the magistrate ordered him to be held for a further 30 days to enable police to complete their investigations. 10 butchered female bodies dressed up in plastic bags were found in the dump site in an abandoned quarry in the Nairobi slum of Mukuru, the Kenyan National Commission of Human Rights said last month. Jumaisi was detained in the early hours of July 15 near a bar where he had been watching the Euro 2024 football final. The head of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, Mohammed Amin, said after his arrest that Jumaisi had confessed to murdering 42 women over a 2-year period from 2022 and that his wife had been his first victim. "We are dealing with a vampire, a psychopath," Amin said at the time. The dumped bodies threw a fresh spotlight on Kenya police force as they were found just 100 yards from a police station. The state-funded KNCHR said in July it was carrying out its own investigations into the Mukuru case because there is a need to rule out any possibility of extrajudicial killings. Kenya's police watchdogs, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, had also said it was looking into whether there was any police involvement or a failure to act to prevent the killings. Kenyan police are often accused by right groups of carrying out unlawful killings or running hit squads, but few have faced justice. On the other hand, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to head to Egypt on Gaza truce push. Top U.S. diplomat Antony Blinken was due to travel to Egypt on Tuesday for talks on Gaza's ceasefire after saying Israel had accepted the U.S. bridging proposal for a deal and urging Hamas to do the same. Blinken, on his 9th visit to the Middle East since the Palestinian militant group's October 7 attack triggered a war with Israel, was scheduled to fly from Tel Aviv to El Alamein, the Mediterranean city famous for a World War II battle in 1942, to speak to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at his summer palace. Afterwards, he will head to a meeting with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Doha, the scene of ceasefire talks last week. Both Egypt and Qatar are working alongside the United States to broker a truce in the 10-month Gaza conflict. Washington put forward the latest proposal last week after the talks in Doha. Blinken said Monday he had a very constructive meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who confirmed to me that Israel accepts the bridging proposal. Ahead of those talks, Hamas called on the mediators to implement the framework set out by U.S. President Joe Biden in the late May rather than hold more negotiations. The movement said on Sunday that the current U.S. proposal responds to Netanyahu's conditions and leave him fully responsible for thwarting the efforts of the mediators. Earlier on Monday, the U.S. Secretary of State has said this is a decisive moment, probably the best, maybe the last, opportunity to get the hostages home, to get a ceasefire and put everyone on a better path to enduring peace and security. Months of on-off negotiations with U.S., Qatari and Egyptian mediators have failed to produce an agreement. Israel and Hamas have blamed each other for delays in reaching an accord that diplomats say would help avert a wider conflagration in the Middle East that could draw in Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon. There is, I think, a real sense of urgency here across the region on the need to get this over the finish line and to do it as soon as possible, Blinken said. The Biden administration is under domestic pressure over Gaza, with pro-Palestinian protests taking place outside the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on Monday. Biden said in his farewell speech to the convention that the protesters have a point, adding that a lot of innocent people are being killed on both sides. Permanent ceasefire. Israel and Hamas have traded blame for delay in reaching a truce deal. Hamas insisted on a permanent ceasefire and a comprehensive Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, saying Netanyahu wanted to keep Israeli forces at several strategic locations within the territory. Western ally Jordan hosted supporters who protested in Tel Aviv during Blinken's visit. The Hamas itself have called for pressure on Netanyahu in order for an agreement to be reached. Far-right members crucial to the Prime Minister's governing coalition oppose any truce. The October 7 attack on southern Israel resulted in the deaths of 1,198 people, mostly civilians, according to the AFP tally of Israeli official figures. Israel's retaliatory offensive in Gaza has killed at least 40,139 people, according to the territory's health ministry, which does not give details of civilian and militant deaths. Out of 251 hostages seized during Hamas' attack, 111 are still held in Gaza, including 39 the military says are dead. The Biden firework would freeze fighting for an initial 6 weeks while Israeli hostages are exchanged for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails and humanitarian aid enters Gaza. Netanyahu said on Monday that negotiators were aiming to release a maximum number of living hostages in the first phase of any ceasefire. Meanwhile, more nights behind bars for South African man intercepted while driving stolen car to Zimbabwe. Police in Limpopo intercepted a white Toyota Prado which was reported stolen in Tshwane and arrested the man who was traveling towards Zimbabwe. A 32-year-old man was remanded in custody when he appeared before the Tabamopo Magistrate's Court in Limpopo on Monday for possession of a stolen vehicle, a white Toyota Land Cruiser Prado VX. Brian Kagiso Mahlo appeared before the Limpopo court and he was once again remanded in custody. The matter was postponed to Thursday, where Mahlo is expected to apply for bail. His arrest comes after members of Limpopo, SA Police Service, SAPS Provincial Anti-Smuggling Task Team received a tip-off about a stolen vehicle that was in progress of being smuggled out of the country to Zimbabwe through Beitbridge Port of Entry, said Limpopo Police spokesperson Colonel Malesela Ledwaba. The police team responded promptly and the white Toyota Prado VX was spotted. The vehicle was intercepted along the R37 road from Leboahomo to Polokwane. The popular sport utility vehicle had been reported stolen on August 5th in the Villiers policing area in Tshwane, Gauteng. The police stopped the vehicle and upon searching it, the driver, who is a South African, was unable to produce the valid documents of the vehicle. He was apprehended on the spot for possession of presumed stolen motor vehicle, said Ledwaba. Earlier this month, in another incident, IOL reported that a Toyota Land Cruiser 200 was recovered by police in Leboahomo near Polokwane in Limpopo. The recovered Toyota Land Cruiser 200 belonged to Mantla Mandela, a former member of parliament and grandson of late former President Nelson Mandela. Letwapa said the sport utility vehicle was intercepted in the Getaway province while it was on its way to being smuggled into Zimbabwe. And that's it from INJIBS Africa. Stay tuned to USA and political updates.